We like to recognize our officers for commendable performance in the line of duty. And tonight, we have 2 officers we're going to recognize for a life-saving award. The process in the police department is officers nominate one another. We have an awards committee, which consists of myself and our previous officers of the year, and we take a vote whether it rises to a certain level, whether it's a written commendation or whether it's I call it a more formal commendation, where they get a uniform ribbon that they wear on their uniform. But what these 2 officers, the awards committee voted most definitely yes, and I'm going to read the personnel memo to you all, and then I'll have them come up here. To Sergeant John LaFour and Officer Cameron Thomas, the Stallings Police Department believes in the recognition of officers and their actions in service to the community. In keeping with this belief, the Stallings Police Department recognizes Sergeant John LaFour and Officer Cameron Thomas for measures taken to save a life that occurred on February 13th, 2022. At approximately 10:38 p.m., officers were dispatched to Scarlet Drive in reference to a possible gunshot and stabbing. Upon arrival, Sergeant LaFour and Officer Cameron Thomas discovered that no one was shot or stabbed, but located an unconscious male and an unconscious female in the residence. The female had a faint pulse and difficulty breathing. She stopped breathing on multiple occasions. Sergeant LaFour and Officer Thomas and Emergency Medical Services moved both people into the front room for medical treatment. Sergeant LaFour and Officer Thomas began CPR on the female until relieved by medical personnel. At that point, both officers began CPR on the male, and they performed several rounds of CPR on that male. After administering life-saving efforts, the male was pronounced deceased on scene, but the female survived. Sergeant LaFour and Officer Thomas's quick response and recognition of the seriousness of the medical emergency, along with their immediate actions and their proper use of CPR, saved the female victim's life. A failure to recognize the seriousness of the situation and proper deployment of overdose medication in this incident could have had a very different outcome. It's actions such as this and your sense of duty that help continue to make our community a safer place to work and live. Please accept my gratitude for a job well done. I'd like to ask both officers to come up here. So both officers receive ribbons for their uniform, but this one here, Sergeant LaFour, in January of 2020, or after I arrived, had earned a life-saving award in 2020. So his looks a little different than Officer Thomas's because that's what they get after getting a second or subsequent life-saving award. So, Cam, good job.
Sir.
You guys want to come up here for a picture?
Yeah, Cameron and John, I just want to say directly to you, you two, we all do good things throughout the course of the workday. I can't imagine doing anything better going home one night being like, wow, I saved somebody's life. I can't think of anything in the whole wide world you could do better than save somebody's life. So from the bottom of my heart and everybody, thank you and well done.
Plus, Officer Thomas had the nerve to pull the mayor over.
Never gonna live that down. Again?
No, just one time. No, he was very professional and great asset to the town. Thank y'all.
Thanks, guys. Good job, Cameron.
Thank you. Yeah, he didn't get the memo. The mayor drives a red truck. He was new. He's new. No, running a stop sign. No stop signs in Shantamar are ridiculous. It's ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. Don't get me started on that. They need to be speed bumps, but we lost that vote. And so they put in, I was out of town, came in on an 11 o'clock flight, tired, drove home.
You're reading this into the record.
Yeah, I want people to know about this. That's all right. And so I pull into my house 11:30. My wife says, "What do you think of the stop signs?" I said, "What stop signs?" It just blew right through them. So. Hey, that's another story. All righty. All righty, we have a consent agenda. The minutes, y'all see that, the Indian Trail 5K annual road closure. That's something we do every year. And then the ARPA items, I don't know if anybody read all those pages of documents, but there was a lot. But they're all required according to Alex, so, and then the amended budget ordinance. Anybody need any explanation on any of the consent agenda items? No? Can I get a motion?
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Mr. Ayers,
I'll second.
second by Ms. Grooms. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. All right, thank y'all. All right, reports. Thursday night, WBT will be airing another segment on wastewater issues in Union County. He did it last year, at the same time, April of '21, and they interviewed Brian Matthews. I don't know if he interviewed anybody from Stallings, but somebody told him to call me, and so I was talking to him, and he said he wanted me to get on camera. And so I said, this is a good chance to get Stallings some publicity. So I told him we're gonna meet in front of that $150 million hospital, and with the Stallings sign right there. So I'm anxious to see how it looks on TV, so people know the town of Stallings has a hospital. So, but it'll be on Thursday night.
Saw them setting up right in front of the sign, but didn't know that was what it was.
There you go. All right. All righty. Any other comments, reports from council members? Mr. Hall, anything?
For me.
All right. Heather?
Nothing.
Stephen?
I would say that normally I would give a WUMA update, but unfortunately work kept me from that meeting this time, so.
All right. David?
Nothing.
Brad?
No, sir.
All right. Alex, turn it over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, everyone. So the first thing I wanted to bring up was something that Councilmember Drake asked me to share to everyone. Obviously, Ms. Drake isn't here tonight, but she asked me to share that she's tested positive for COVID. That's the reason she's not going to be here tonight, but she will be watching the live stream. The next item, street sweeper, as we saw in the budget presentation, as part of, as a stormwater initiative, we typically do a routine street sweeping of the town regularly, and so that is just about wrapped up. The next item I wanted to bring up was planning board membership. We've got another planning board meeting coming up. Y'all recall that the last one that we had, we weren't able to have because we did not have a quorum of planning board members present. So now, heading into the summer, if we have just 2 members present, we won't be able to have a quorum to have meetings, and the planning board agenda items can increase pretty quickly and build up, which means, you know, we might have a larger meeting coming up in the near future. So if y'all know anybody, yes, sir.
I didn't want to interrupt you, but I asked Mac about what happens if that, he said business can still proceed. What's that process if the planning board doesn't review? Do you know?
Max, I believe it has to go to planning board in certain cases, right? They could still meet and talk, but they just couldn't take action.
So our ordinance requires planning board for certain rezonings, and we have some of them coming up. So, I will have to discuss with Mac further if we have a meeting and we discuss it with planning board, they just can't vote. If then it can go to council.
Yeah, because he said, you know, if they can't vote, I don't remember the details, you know, it's not gonna hold up progress going to the council. So, you know, get that clarified if you would, because, you know, so I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, we'll do. We'll do. We'll check that out. And in the meantime, if y'all know any folks that might be good planning board members, please.
So we have the one application still
One
on
outstanding
file,
application.
and I recommend we take action on it. I mean, I think we delayed it to after the election, if my memory serves me right. You know, that was November. So now, obviously, the election's over. So having one more, I don't know if it'll get us a quorum, but it'll certainly help. So can we put his application on the next meeting agenda?
Sure.
Yes, sir, I will contact him to make sure he's still.
Yeah, still in, thank you.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
What else you got?
And we'll check out, Max, if you'll make a note for us to talk with Mac, I'll appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And then from there, something that Mayor Pro Tem Scholl and I talked about DOT has a work order system for various issues, maintenance, things like that. And oftentimes we find that the timeliness of the efforts isn't what we would like to see. I'll give you an example. At the intersection of Monroe Road and Stallings Road, there is if you're turning right, like you're leaving Town Hall and going this way, there's a pretty large, David and I, only halfway joking, call it a crater, I think.
I'm not joking.
And, well, I guess half of us do, I guess.
Oh, you do, I don't.
I
It's
picture a
serious.
crater being something from an asteroid, but I see your point.
It's massive. A car would get lost.
It's approximately, I'd say, I don't know, 7 to 10 feet long. I'd say 2 to 3 feet wide, and at various spots, 2.5 to 3.5 feet deep. We submitted a work order through the system in October, continue to try to kind of follow up with them, and going kind of up the chain of command, just haven't really gotten anywhere. It's a concern for us for a safety issue, things like that. So that's just one example. So, what we found is that, citizens will contact us for a state road issue, and we're happy to kind of submit a work order on their behalf as a courtesy. But what we have found is, a lot of times we'll follow up in a timely manner, but DOT won't do so in a timely manner. And then the citizen gets, irritated that nothing's being done. So Mr. Price and Mr. Russell and I talked earlier today, and what we'll try to do is just kind of do a better job of explaining how the process works on the front end and letting them know and try to educate people more on what we can do, what we can't do, and what we can't control, and just try and do a better job of communicating there to try to kind of address some of those frustrations that are there.
It's not just the community's frustrations, I think, at least with me, my frustration, and I'm sure others on council, that something that big and dangerous has taken since October and it's still not touched. It reflects poorly on us. And we can't, we can say it's the state's, but it's still, we're gonna get the blame until that's fixed. How do we make sure this gets more attention and gets higher on the fix the list?
From our perspective, from a staff, what we've done is gone through the process, which is starting with the work order, escalated that to the maintenance staff, repeatedly escalated that to the division engineer. Talked to them kind of verbally about it, and also, email, called. So I think the next step would be if the board wanted to, contact elected representatives, things like that, at that stage. Because at the end of the day, I think there's only so much as a staff it would be appropriate for us to do.
So would that be a letter drafted by the staff and voted on for the council and then sent up to Poe?
That'd be one form it could take, yes, sir.
I mean,
What, a letter to our legislatures?
yes, sir.
Yeah, you don't need that to be approved by council.
Well, I mean, if it comes from just one of us, it has a little bit of authority, but if it comes from the town, does it have more authority? Probably not.
Oh, no,
The letter.
Well,
it's read by, a staff member. So it's easier just to, just to let us know, that we just call Dean and Todd and just call them.
and see, it's hit or miss on the response that I get back from those guys. Dean is way better than Todd, but, just in general, I know this is being recorded, so, but, it is what it is. But, we've got a piece of sidewalk over there that Alex has had in the queue for 2 years now, and it's still broken and messed up. And so, I hate to say it, but it just seems like the DOT is not very responsive.
Well, I'll tell you what works for me for DOT is, I used to call Scott Cole
Okay.
just all the time, and he responded. And I call Brett, and he responds. It might take him a week or so to get back to me, but that's who I call is Brett. And I'm sure that's who you forward things up to, but after a while, he gets tired of seeing me call and he does something about it, so.
There you go. All right, that's good to
I
know.
know he got 1,000 projects on his plate, but squeaky wheel gets the oil.
So where does Brett fall in the hierarchy? Is he on the project side or the maintenance side?
So they're,
Both, I think.
the state is divided up into various divisions.
Okay.
And the division we're in is Division 10, which is loosely described as the Charlotte region. And Mr. Knipe is the head engineer in charge of that area.
And do we have a bulk list of the things that we think DOT is delinquent on? I mean, we talked about like the landscaping at the intersection down here. We've talked about this, we've talked about the sidewalks. I mean, is there a full list somewhere?
I'm sure we have a list of the issues. You know, we're happy to kind of maybe get that together if that'd be helpful. I also want us to be careful, right, about you know, there's only so much we can do with the state, right? We can be a squeaky wheel. But we also need to be careful that we don't lose focus on what we're responsible for, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So,
there's a balance between what's, and I'm taking more of your time up here than, but I mean, I feel like that there's a reasonable expectation for fixing things, and then somebody's dropped the ball somewhere. And
Yeah,
I'm not,
obviously on this one, October, so.
yeah, I mean, and I don't know where, I mean, obviously, every aspect of government runs slower than I think it should, but and I'm okay with it being slower than my expectation, but it seems like lots of things kind of just go off into the void and we never really hear back from them. So I'm taking your thing, man. Sorry, you
I'm
punched,
glad somebody else,
you punched on a hot topic.
it is a hot topic, it ticks me off.
Yeah.
I'll call Brett tomorrow, start the squeaky wheel.
Thank you. But if you, it would be helpful to have that list of other stuff, so you're not just hitting them with one item if there's 3 or 4 or 5 others.
Well, I don't know.
Or just go with one.
Go with one.
yeah, I think if you hit them with a lot of different things, it reduces the likelihood that you're gonna get the important stuff done.
Putting signs out in October.
It's at Stevens Mill, I mean,
It's right at the
Stallings
corner,
and
yeah.
Howie.
Fifth floor, Oldman Road.
I'll call him tomorrow.
Okay, thanks.
All right. So downtown streetscape, as a reminder, if you have any feedback, please let us know, and Max and I'd be happy to kind of get together and chat. The DFI downtown feasibility contract, it looks like the first kickoff start date for that is going to be late July, early August, a little later than I'd hoped. So we've let them know we're eager to start, ready to start from our end, and try to press them a little bit to see if we can kind of get that date moved up. Potter Pleasant Plains intersection U5112. We've been kind of working with DOT over the past several weeks. The past week, we've really been in a holding pattern. We're waiting for a draft interlocal agreement from NCDOT on one of the, there are going to be various different agreements we're going to have, but one of the areas that we need to have. So that's kind of where we're at with that one. The MS4 stormwater application permit, that's been submitted. So a lot of folks spend a lot of time on that. It's one of those things. So I want to recognize them. I know Bo and Justin and Brian, I know you do a lot of things too to help out with that. So thank you. And then finally, there's something I wanted to mention to the board. We've talked about it before, but I wanted to mention it again. As part of the Atrium Hospital development, one of the requirements on that project is that they put in some traffic upgrades at an intersection that's not in Stallings, it's actually in the town of Indian Trail. And the town of Indian Trail also has some intersection improvements that they want to do there in the near future. And Indian Trail doesn't want to have two contractors tear up the same intersection twice, right? They want one person to do it, and they want the timeline to be the same. So we've been working with them on a draft interlocal agreement that would allow the money from Atrium to go to Indian Trail, and they would in turn commit to us to do it. So that way, we're kind of working with our neighbors to get that work done, but we're also still got a commitment for it to get done. So that includes my report. It was kind of lengthy, so I appreciate your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. All righty. Any reports from our departments? Chief, have anything? Any other department, got anything they want to bring to council's attention? All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda as submitted? Oh, did anybody want to add anything, amend it? All right. Can I get a motion to approve it as submitted?
I move to approve it as submitted.
Motion by.
I'll second.
All right, motion by Mr. Hall, second by Mr. Ayers. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All righty. So let's, Marcia, turn it back over to you.
Okay. Okay, we've gone through all of the departments right now, and normally what we end up doing is taking a look at what we have left. The CIP is one of those, but I think that the CIP includes a lot of items that are on that notable listing, the notable items listing. So probably the thing that we were thinking about doing was going through the notable items listing and kind of saying yes or no whether to leave it in the budget. Before we do that, though, I believe Karen is still out there. Yeah, come on in, Karen. We've been asked by our insurance carrier to move forward with our renewal for our insurance. And the rates that we got were fantastic. We were able to lower our rates. Come on in, Karen. She can give you a little more information on what that means. But in order for us to go forward and be able to get that contract rolling, they're going to be doing some renewal meetings and things. We wanted to see if council's, in favor of us actually choosing the league and going ahead and doing that stuff. So,
Okay. And it saved money?
yes.
Oh,
Lots
Yeah.
of money.
it'll be a quick vote. Yeah.
So currently, for the health insurance, we pay $660 per employee. It's going down to $627 per employee
Per month.
per month. The renewal on the dental is currently $30. It's going down to $29, and the vision is $7 per employee per month, and it's staying the same. So the health insurance is going down, which is a good deal. I don't think we could beat that anywhere.
And
And the plan is staying the same.
And it's through the league.
Yes, it's
Yeah.
through the league. Yeah. So they've reached out a couple of times. Like she said, they'll come in and do, renewal meetings and that type thing. So they've reached out, just wanting to know if we're going to renew or not.
So y'all need,
We just need a consensus so we can kind of move forward. It seemed like an obvious choice, but we don't want to assume anything.
well, no, I appreciate the work on it, Karen. So, anybody have any objections?
Okay.
Everybody good? Consensus? All righty.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you, Karen.
thank you.
Karen really does a great job with our insurance, with everything she does, honestly. So it's kind of one of those things that you don't hear about unless there's an issue. But I think these kind of efforts are, and what you're seeing now with the numbers is something that's a credit in large part to her. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Marcia.
She stuck around for this, so thought I'd get her in here. Okay, so if we're going to do the notable items, I'm going to bring it up on a different format so that we can see it a little better.
Well,
These
yeah,
slides are-
as I said, Marcia, what I'd like to do is, because I don't think the council was prepared to vote on anything tonight, because we
Okay.
didn't really know. So let's, council, I would recommend on our next meeting on the 16th at 5 o'clock, you know, we come prepared to, yes or no each item, and then that gives staff an indication of where to go, what to do.
What, if I can, I mean, like, I know you sent out a question, I mean, how much discussion are we free to have, Aaron, not in this meeting? I mean, it seems like it's the same as always, right? As far as asking, you know, I guess what I'm trying to ask is like, I mean, can we ask questions? Can we discuss it in emails? Or,
Yeah, yes.
You just can't discuss all together. That would be an electronic meeting. If you want to ask Alex questions or you and Heather have a conversation, that would be different. But as a whole, as a council, you cannot
Okay.
go back and forth.
okay, so it is covered, okay.
Yeah, so just be prepared on the 16th, any of these items, or anything in the budget that you have a question about. You know, submit the question in advance to Alex, so he can have you an answer prior to the meeting. And then we can make some decisions that night and be way ahead of the game.
Are there any,
Yeah, anybody have any questions on the notable items? I mean, right now, I think, like Marcia said, we've gone through them on each presentation. I don't think there's anything that's,
are there any things on here that might be non-controversial?
Don?
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, the DFI, to me, phase one is non-controversial.
oh yeah, some of these things we've already.
Yeah, we've
committed
already
to,
approved that.
Police, vehicle replacement, we know that, so just come prepared, we can knock this list out pretty quick on
The one thing I probably need to add to it is, it has to do with the pay policy, what council's wish is to move forward
Say
on
it
that
again,
for
please.
next year. The pay policy, the increases for next year, staffs.
but we have policies in place.
We do have a policy in place.
So we need to follow it. Now, what's the cap on the CIP
There is no cap on that for the,
for the salary?
I think you were thinking of the cap.
It was the
for
cap.
waste, with the waste contract.
Yeah, but we don't have one to pay.
No, sir, it does go with the market.
And, because I know, I've read a few companies that have their salaries tied to the CPI, putting a cap on it, because, who knows what it's gonna be next year. But that's something we don't need to talk about tonight, but,
I do want to mention too, we got some good news with the trash contract. I think I mentioned that. We've got a couple, it ends, I believe, June 30th, 23. And after that, there are 2 more 2-year potential extensions on it. And with our CPI cap, with the rates we get, it's a really good deal, honestly. So we'll get that information and bring it back in the future, but some potentially good news.
yep. So Marcia, did you want to go through some of these what's the next section in the capital projects fund?
capital projects really isn't,
Oh, that's,
what we have in capital projects, I'll jump to that one.
yeah, it's 3P.
It really isn't, Potter Road Pleasant Plains, we don't have any major decisions on that yet, as far as how we're gonna move forward and where the funds are actually gonna come from and even how much we need to actually go forward. So my suggestion here is to do budget amendment once we have a clear path forward, is really all that's telling us. And there are no other capital project open.
Right.
The CIP items, I can pull that up. We can look at the out years. Some of the items that we have on the notable items would just fall off of there if we decide not to proceed with them, but it certainly would be worth looking at those items, like the long-term items, the sidewalks and things like that Alex had
If you could
mentioned
pull that
before.
up, because
Okay.
it'll refresh everybody's memory, and somebody might be seeing it for the first time, but.
And this one is little, so I'll try and make it really big. Okay.
ask a quick question while that's coming up?
Bad.
For the laptop replacement, are we working, will that make everybody have a laptop at that point? And then will we have a, sort of like how we have police car replacement, will we have a laptop replacement policy?
We've already got that, yes, sir.
We have that currently on all the computers anyway. It's just we wanted to replace the desktops with the ARPA funds for our laptop.
So does this put us out of balance since we're replacing all of these at one time? I mean,
I don't believe so, because the desktops are usually older.
all right.
That's something that, going back to, I think, 2018, we did a emergency response training where we did a hypothetical scenario, and as a town, we just role-played what would we do. And one of the things that kind of came up on at the time was the need to be able to kind of work remotely in an emergency more often. And so the laptop would allow that. And I think the pandemic has accelerated, that move. We've been forced to accelerate to adapt, so.
Okay, I just wanted to ask while we were waiting.
Okay. This project, let me go back to the top, okay.
We have that
No, but I can send it if you like.
I'll quit looking for it. I'm getting frustrated trying to find it.
No, I apologize. It's actually on the presentation drive, but I don't think you can get to that.
No.
This spreadsheet covers pretty much everything that's been on there for years. Well, unless it was taken off last year and we decided to put something else. So it may have items on there that we want, council would like to remove. But if we remember, this line item, I'll just go down the list here. There is no cost associated, or it hasn't been funded yet out to the out years. But it's a new community building, and it would include park and rec offices and storage. I think the original, where it came from was a possible barn idea out at Blair Mill Park. And then it turned into community building, and, we have the space next door now. So I don't know if we want to keep that on there and just push it forward. It doesn't have a date on it, so, or whether we redefine what that actual item is. But at this point, it was to build a community building so that we could do our rentals and things like that, so that we could provide a space. I think last year, Ms. Paxton talked quite a bit about having a space for people to rent and whatnot, but this year, I don't know that that's a concern, or, whether we just want to keep it on there and keep moving.
Council, let's do the same thing on the 16th. Come prepared to yea or nay on this list, change things, or amend them, or.
And I'll send this out to you all.
But wasn't, can I ask Eunice, wasn't it, or Brian, if you put a building, then that means that the disc golf course would be, it would mess up the disc golf course, like there's not space separate for it? Yeah. Or is there? Is there enough space for it not to disrupt the?
I guess it depends on how y'all's vision for how big the indoor space would be, and how big the office rooms would. Obviously, if it's this huge building, like I would classify this as huge for a Parks and Rec department. This, yes, but maybe something half this size, not necessarily. Right.
Probably need something about this size, which
Yeah.
would take out the disc golf course.
It would take out the disc golf. I think that was the big issue.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
And this next item down, I can probably nix this one because it's actually happened. We did that this fiscal year, so I'll just pull that one off of it. The front door entrance to New Town Hall. Let's see, Stallings Road demolitions of the 2 properties we have. I think one of them is still being rented, the other is not. If we don't have any money in this current year proposed budget to actually take those buildings down or to do anything with them, I don't think the plan has been, demised yet for what what we turn those spaces into. So at this point, I think we pushed this out to 2024, yes, to actually take those buildings down possibly at that point in time. Moving on, the Privet Park playground equipment. I believe that's going on this fiscal year as well, so I can take that off. When I first made this list, these things hadn't happened yet, so. Let's see, the Stallings Park sprinkler system, that was pushed out to 2024. Some signage at Stallings Park, that's in this next fiscal year's budget. And the significance of the coloring there in the 2023 column, if it is orange, it's coming out of current year funds. If it's purple, it would be under your ARPA funds. So the resurfacing of the parking lot next door here, that's $180,000. We do have that in the budget, and we do have it coming from ARPA funding. The Wi-Fi in Stallings Park, we don't have any number on that. I believe Ashley was working on that, and I don't know, you don't have an update on that one?
On the
No?
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, no, okay. So it's out in 2024. We can, and that's with the camera system as well because it needs Wi-Fi. Stallings Park playground replacement, we have that in 2024. There was a number of 300,000. And then the wooden structures replacement, 200,000, and they're saying it's gonna be next year. Not this, next year, the following year, 2024. Blair Mill Park, we have some signage in there for 2023. And then the enhancements, the engineering and things for what we're doing there, there is no plan on those, as far as spending money. There were some estimates in there for the landscaping signage and then the enhancements, and we do, Blair Mill Park, we have some enhancements in there for next year. We do have those in there, and I apologize. I'll put those in there. I'll change this before I send it out to you. But there are some funds to go in Blair Mill Park for next year for things. I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was, I think it's the 140.
What is the
Or 90,000,
500,000?
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what was the $500,000 for?
That's engineering for the, whatever, I guess, building or whatever structure we're putting out there.
That was, when the Parks and Recreation Master Plan was completed, and there was a lump sum cost for what it would take to kind of put in that vision. And I think in talking about with the board preferred a more incremental approach, right? That's why we're putting in the playground right now. So I think that number is left over from developing it in wholesale.
Signage again, that's, obviously we've got the signage out there. This is kind of kind of more permanent type signage? Okay.
Yes, that's the permanent signage. I believe there's money for signage in the at least one sign in the budget. There's money for another sign that's going to be bid out as part of the Vickery Greenway project. And we're hoping we may be able to squeeze out some more, maybe one more sign out of that, so, in that area.
And then Blair Mill Park, the Greenway, the Vickery portion of that, we do have that in next year's budget at $550,000. These next areas, that was during the master plan that was done for the Blair Mill Park. I think this has been, I think you just talked all about that, but there aren't any amounts associated with those until the purpose was actually made and we move forward with what the plans or wishes of council will be. Then we get down into the central spine and the north spine of the greenways. We really don't have anything coming out. The central spine for Town Hall and Municipal Park, that was pushed out to $275,000 out into 2026. And that's what happened from last year. Sidewalks. this was something that we talked a little bit about today. The 60,000 in the budget does not include any new sidewalks, but these are the sidewalks that were noted where it was either going to be part of, most of these are part of the Greenway Master Plan. So to pick any pieces of these, we would be adding to our Greenway space. So if there is any, I don't believe there are any out. The
Yeah.
first one was lawyers that was pushed out to 2025.
And Ms. Gross, I'd point out there that you can see where those sidewalk projects are. Most of those are accounted for some way in the Greenway plan, with the exception of, I believe, Lawyers Road project. There are two sections there that doesn't call for any Greenway there. So her desire to kind of maybe, hey, put in some sidewalks, that'd be an opportunity to do that. We'd probably need to refresh that number. It's an older number from several years ago, and of course, everything's gone up in the past year, much less several years ago. But I did want to point that out.
Those are the only sidewalks. Computer equipment, that's on an annual schedule. We usually put $50,000 in every year for the actual regular replacement. And that includes like anything that server-wise or, wiring-wise or something that would have to happen within our current system, or replacements of, older computers. We do have the plan to have the video conferencing capabilities in the meeting spaces. That's part of the ARPA plans, the 18,000. And then laptops for staff for remote virtual working. That's another 15,000, which is on that notable items list as well. Then in the police department.
Do the computer, does the computer replacements include
Yes.
the police department?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
All computers?
PD, you can see most of their items this year we have thrown in the purple category. Fleet replacement, portable message boards for traffic control, the updated radio system software. Those are actually the mandated radio upgrade. And then the exercise equipment, which this really needs to come off of here, because we're doing that in this fiscal year. So I'm gonna zero that out while I'm right here so I remember. So when we're looking at this, the out years where we have a continuation of costs, you can see that the 174,000 for fleet repair goes out every year, replacing 3 vehicles. The Lexipol licensing is 12,000 a year. The body camera replacement, that was a 5-year commitment from the town, so that goes out, as well as the in-car camera replacement. So that's an annual amount that we pay every 5 years, and that includes maintenance as well. PD's office renovations, that's the ARPA funds. The AEDs, the automated external defibrillators, that's ARPA funds, 34,000. In-car computers, there were some computers that were needed for the cars, and those are the cars that we're purchasing, $13,000. The early warning software, $6,200, and then the accident reconstruction software for $9,000. And those are single item costs for all of those last 4 items from ARPA funds.
How much was that reconstruction software?
It was 9,000. And I don't believe that's just a one-time cost, right? Yes. Okay.
I had no idea that cars have black boxes. They do. An airplane. Plug it in and it'll tell how fast it was going and all kinds of parameters when an accident happened. Could you scroll up a little bit, please? One more. One of the numbers didn't look quite right. A little more. Again. Oh, that one. 13.5.
14.5?
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Office renovation,
85, row 85,
row 85,
at 13.5.
Lexipol policy manual.
yes.
Yeah,
That's an annual cost.
13.5 is an annual cost?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
That
That
didn't add up,
was,
or look like
no,
added
it
up.
doesn't, and I apologize, I'll fix that one.
12,000 a year, but for the 5-year plan, that would be,
I think that's an annual cost as long as you're using it. Yes, so it's, I'm gonna put 12,000, but it's not, once you're off of it, you're off of it. It's like an annual renewal, almost like a subscription.
all the others in that column are the 5 years.
I can do 5
Added
out.
up. So that would be 60,000, not 12,000.
I'm just gonna copy the formula. I don't have a mouse, that's why I was not doing that way. That takes 22 into consideration, so I should go E.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll fix it. Let's see. Keeping going down. Public Works Building, we have, the contingency funds that we have each year as buildings age. Brian had talked about that. He put $10,000 in a year, starting out in 2024. The HVAC repairs for 2023, we reduced that to $20,000, or it is $20,000 for this year, but then it would be, it actually would be a little bit less if we actually move forward with the replacement of the HVAC system and the AV filtration systems.
Why wouldn't that be just 0 for next year?
It would, once it got replaced, maybe I don't have it scheduled,
Mm-hmm.
I'll start kicking into like 10 a year until like 26.
Yes, we can go over there. Yes, it's 5 a year on here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. The smart meter that's delayed, we put it in 2024. The washer dryer, 3,600. Vehicle replacement, that was pushed out to 2025. The electric vehicle charging station, 2025. And then the traffic barricades are ARPA funds for next year. A lot of these come from that notable item listing. Now for planning and zoning, you see the 2 items that were listed in his presentation. The wall monitor mounts for the digital plan reviews in the certain offices, and then the plotter scanner for 8,000. And then a vehicle replacement, according to our policy, that the truck that's there is a little older and getting to the point where repair work might be hefty. We're suggesting that that be pushed out to 2024. And this, the Christmas tree, as you know, it's probably a $50,000 cost. We're just splitting it into 2 years. Streetscape and signage, we see the atrium roundabout, $300,000. That's a prior year number, so that's why that's an orange color. It's being appropriated. And then the other streetscape and signage areas that we had identified were the Idlewild Corridor, Old Monroe Road Corridor, and the Stallings Elementary School. You can see there's some numbers assigned to that, but there is no, those are estimates, obviously, and they were delayed 2 out years.
Did you say the Christmas tree was a $50,000?
I believe that's what we have. We paid, yes. Mm-hmm. We paid $25,000 down, I'm sure of that.
Because you only have 25 down on the column.
It is, because we paid we put a deposit this year, 25. And it's coming, we have another 25 to pay for next year. And I could put that in 2022. Where are we at up here? Let me go back to that one. It is, there you go. It is a $50,000 cost, though. The DFI feasibility assessment, phase 1, we have that going in 2023. That is coming out of current year funds. The phase two, we don't have a cost for that, and it's not, that probably should be pushed out over in this area here, the 2024 areas. And then the downtown streetscape items, while we're doing the DFI study, we will have costs for these moving forward once we complete the study. I think those are different phases. They are not phased in this at all, actually. You can see there's no cost associated with them. We like to keep these projects on here just because they've been, talked about in meetings in front of council, in presentations, talking about the different phases that we go through. So we like to put these in here, and I believe these costs were costs that were presented during those presentations by consultants as well. The Pow Bill Funds, you can see that we have for this next fiscal year, it is 1.1 million, but it's these numbers added together to get you to 1.1. So streets are 1,040,000, 60,000 for sidewalks, and then there's the 1.2 million that Bo spoke of during his presentation going in the out years. The sidewalks, we have $60,000 each year going out.
I'm just curious, do we have an idea where the extra $800,000 would come from in 2024? Thoughts on that?
That's the one slide that I presented, really. I mean, we pull it from fund balance, we increase taxes,
But the answer is to be 800,000, that kind of feels monumental from.
That's a big number.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I just wanted to make sure I was, okay.
Yeah, obviously we got some work to do on this to get the numbers and the priorities right.
Yeah.
and the other thing, council, next year, we talked about, we've only used so much of our ARPA funds. We can use the ARPA funds 2 years in a row to cover, police salaries, revenue replacement, whatever we want to call it, but it shifts those costs, it opens up the funds for other uses as well, the unrestricted amounts that we have.
Isn't there, you said there was a plateau, we can only use as much of the ARPA funds per year as salary replacement. Do we know what that number is every year?
It's close to 2.4 million a year.
It's right, it's a little under 2.5, so
Yeah.
you could almost use all ARPA funds in 2 years but you don't have to.
Okay.
But you can't go over that threshold because we have to use it for revenue replacement. So it does have to be used for salaries.
Gotcha. I just didn't know what the number was. Thank you.
Okay. So that would, in fact, we might be okay for another year if we decided to do the 1.2 million for the Pow Bill funds, but it obviously is only going to be, you could do it for so long as the money coming in from Pow Bill is actually a constant. And there is no change in tax related to the roads. Okay, sidewalks, we talked about those. Potter Rose, Pleasant Plains, that's still a guess at this point, so I'm leaving it blank. Master plan, transportation master plan, we had taken that out of the budget. We did not do it here. So, we can leave it in. I think we pushed it out to here. Didn't we push it out another year, Alex?
No, it'd be, if anything, it'd be I think probably the farthest year out, just as a reminder for everyone. We're dedicating planning resources first to the area around the Atrium Hospital and Light Rail and working on enhancing the development around there before we go to the updating the transportation master plan.
And then in stormwater, we talked about these numbers as well. The things that we have moving forward are really the minor repairs, major repairs, and the we would like to continue the annual line maintenance and the street sweeping, which will help us, maintain our roads as well. So if we look at those, there's a commitment of about $360,000 a year on those lines. Hopefully, we won't have major repairs to do. So, it looks like a big number when we look at it all together. 2023 is looking like $3.6 million altogether when we consider all of the projects we have listed there. These are things that we feel are necessary to move forward. These are the things that the departments are asking for. Not necessarily a definite, but
You're
obviously.
gonna send us the new CIP out
I'll send the
to
new
us?
sheet out.
All
I'll
right,
fix
thank
those couple of formula errors there and
Thank
I'll
you.
send it out to you. Yeah, but next time we'll have to decide on this because then I need to be putting together the draft ordinance and getting that to the paper and available for public.
Another number I'd like is how much ARPA funds we have left to spend. I know last council meeting I talked about
Okay,
the farmer's market, housing. Oh, you got some time?
I got some things with farmers markets on my list too.
Oh, you want to talk about it tonight? Oh, okay, next week.
and I can add that farmer's market to the CIP.
Well, not yet.
Okay.
See if council wants that, and then sidewalks. See how much money we got left. So,
Okay, all right.
Any questions for Marcia?
Marcia, you want to throw that farmer's market item up on the notable items too, to make sure
Okay.
it's discussed? I think we had talked a little bit about that internally with staff and had some general numbers we could look at,
Good, all
so.
right.
So I will resend the notable items listing out, and I'll take it off of the spreadsheet format, this format, so that you can see it better. I'll leave it in Excel, or I can do it PDF, just large version of it, without all the other stuff on it. So it's easier to read.
All right, whatever's easiest for you.
Okay?
Just to kind of cut down, do we want to look at the fee schedule real quick? Were there any, I think we discussed all the fee schedule items. Any concerns with anything
Yes.
y'all heard? Okay.
Next week.
It's, the fee schedules, there's hardly any changes there.
Yeah, we don't need to. If somebody's got an issue, bring it up. But,
Okay? All righty.
All right, any other questions, concerns? All right,
So next, so timeline-wise, next meeting is next Monday. I think I owe y'all a budget the next day. So with y'all's permission, can you give me till the end of the week to knock it out based on the changes? Okay. Appreciate it.
and then I told David this, I'll be out on the 23rd when y'all talk about that, but, we won't vote on the final budget, so, then, but, all righty, Marcia and everybody,
you.
thank y'all for all your work on this.
Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion, let's see, yep. Motion to adjourn?
I'll second.
Oh, who was that? Motion by Mr. Richardson, second by Ms. Grooms, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, ayes have it, all right, thank y'all.
Good job.